Location, location, location. Does it matter? And how do you know when you found the right one? Hey friend, Sean with Guided Productions, and welcome to step 2 of our series, How to Film a Video from Scratch. Now last week we talked all about our story, we learned how to define our viewer profile, and we addressed 3 critical questions to help make sure that our message is impactful and hits home with our audience. Now today we're going to build off of that foundation and talk all about our location, right? What's going on behind the scenes, what's going on in the background of your subject. And so today I'm going to address 3 things to look out for to make sure that our backdrop is relevant and free of distractions. So let's dive on in. So the first thing we're going to look for when choosing a background for our video is to find an isolated environment, right? We want to try to control every element as possible. Obviously, there will be plenty of factors outside of our control, but there are 2 things critical to your video that are absolutely within the realm of control, and that's lighting and sound. Now, I would even go so far as to say that if you choose a location and you get on site for the day of your shoot and you find that the environment is noisy or visually distracting, it would be better to change the location of your shoot to a more isolated environment than it would be to try to fix it in post later. So let's walk through a couple of ways that lighting and sound can affect your video, starting with lighting. Now you can choose to light your subject one of 2 ways. You can use artificial light, much like I'm using here today, or you can use natural light in the form of the sun. Now, a couple of benefits to using artificial light is that you have full control over the positioning of those lights, right? So you can get rid of harsh shadows, you can add a backlight or a hair light to your subject, and in some cases, you can even adjust the color temperature of your lights to have a warmer or cooler image. And what this allows you to do is to create a really nice professional looking lighting setup right in camera at the day of the shoot, and you don't have to worry about messing with that in post-production later. Now, one thing to keep in mind is you're going to have to power those lights, so you'll either need to have access to a wall outlet for electricity, or in some cases, some lights allow you to install a battery pack, which is really convenient as well. Now, moving on to natural light, some things to consider with natural light is that the sun does not stay in the same spot in the sky all day long. So you really have to understand where you're shooting and at what time of day you're going to be filming, because the sun will affect your subject in that way. You also don't have quite the control over shadows and color temperature. The sun is what it is. You're also going to have to pay attention to the forecast, right? If it's raining that day, you're probably going to have to reschedule, or like I've mentioned before, move to a more isolated environment. With that being said, I love natural light, but in this case, having artificial lighting certainly puts more control in your hands, and that may be a good way to go. Now let's move on to sound and how that can affect your video. So what are we looking for, or rather listening for, when it comes to sound? Anything that's distracting or otherwise competing for your viewer's attention that may dilute the overall impact of your message, right? So if we're filming outside and we've got dogs barking in the background, airplanes going overhead, or you're sitting next to the highway during 5 o'clock rush hour traffic, all of these sounds and noises are going to be competing for your viewer's attention, making it really difficult for them to listen and truly understand what your story is all about. Now, one way to minimize some of these distractions would be to use a directional microphone like a shotgun mic, which will do a great job of capturing the speech of your subject and filter out some of that background noise, but this is only going to get you so far. So as we said with lighting, if you come on site, you're at the location of your time of shoot, and you recognize this is too noisy of an environment and there's nothing you can do about it, it would be better to just reschedule the shoot to a quieter day, or even better, move to a more isolated location so that you have more control in your hands. Now, the next component I want to address when it comes to choosing a location for your video is to choose a location that's relevant, right? Make sure that it's complementary to your message and not distracting. Now, for example, let's say you're the owner of a local flower shop and you want to share your grand opening event with the community. You wouldn't plant yourself in front of the world's tallest roller coaster to share that message, right? It'd be pretty distracting, while pretty cool. It just doesn't make sense. And so keep that in mind. You'd want to be surrounded by bouquets of flowers, maybe even the front of your shop. So just keep that in mind as you're choosing a location. Make sure that it's relevant and it ties back to your message. Now, when scouting locations for my welcome video for Guided Productions, I walked around my neighborhood and around the house. I found a couple of locations that were a bit more public, some were outside, and some are right here in the house, which gives me total and full control over the production process. Again, that isolated environment, which comes highly recommended. Now, as a last resort, if you just can't find the right space, or the space isn't available on the day of your shoot, or too many external factors that you can't control, you can always plant yourself in front of a green screen. Now, obviously, this is going to require a bit more skill in post-production, but you'll have full control over the visual process of that video, and you can shut out a lot of the background noise as well because you can control the environment. And the last component I want to address when choosing a location for your video is to eliminate distractions. Real quick, can we take a moment to appreciate the irony of the fact that I'm talking about removing distractions in the background of your video, but I forgot to minimize GarageBand on my computer, which was being used to record my audio? See, it happens to the best of us, and hopefully you can learn from my mistake and avoid blunders like this in your video. Okay, now back to the show. Now, I know we talked about distractions through the whole video, from lighting and sound to choosing a backdrop that's both relevant and complementary, but I want to take things a step further and get really granular here. I'm talking about all the small stuff that's often overlooked, right? The things like, did you brush your teeth that day? What's on the walls behind you? What are you wearing? Now, in my video example, again, I want to shoot a welcome video for Guided Productions that helps to validate a viewer who's coming to the website for the first time. And I actually had a t-shirt made with my logo on it, and this is what I intend to wear for my video, so keep that in mind as you film yours. We really want to be cognizant of everything that falls within the frame. You know, unlike a computer-generated video like Pixar, where the artists actually have to write in or draw in junk and clutter, you and I don't quite have that luxury. We're not starting from a blank slate. So be really aware of what's going on behind yourself or behind your subject, and you'll be grateful you did. That's it, my friend. I hope this will serve as a useful guide in helping you to identify the right location for your next video. And friend, if you've not downloaded my 6 Steps to Creating Better Video guide, just click the link in the description below or go to guidedproductions.com/bettervideoguide to get your free copy. It's my free gift to you for hanging out with me here today, but I unpack everything from idea to export in the entire video production process, and I even offer some tips around locations there as well. And come back next week. We're gonna start to unpack some of the gear needed to film our video and some really exciting things as we move through our series, How to Film a Video from Scratch. So thanks again for hanging out with me here today, and I will see you on another video real soon.